made that feedback. That was, so then I turned off my mic while Eli was going. Okay now? Perfect. Yeah, good. So what's the title of my talk today? Getting along. Okay. Yeah, getting along. Okay. The art of getting along. Okay. While I was driving up to Grass Valley to see my son last week, the Beatles' Revolution song came on. Dates me a little bit, but I really still like the message, you know. So, you know, it reminded me of why I was really interested in Dharma in even the 60s. And why I wasn't a big protester for the Vietnam War, which I thought and still do is a complete waste of time. I wasn't going to go conscientious objector like my friends were, though. Although some of my friends actually joined the Marines, by the way. I was banking on my bad knees from high school football. Fortunately, I didn't get called up. Englewood, Colorado sent a lot of people to Vietnam, and my draft number was 14. Typically for me, I didn't have a big plan if that didn't work out. My cousin, who was in the Navy in San Diego, actually, you know, went AWOL when he learned that his carrier was going to Vietnam. His girlfriend, and then became his wife, smuggled him out in a duffel bag, and he died in Canada. Amazing. So the days that are now feel a little bit like that, you know, like people are talking about shooting people and the revolution, and that's when, you know, I just kind of like, hey, could we all play, you know, the Beatles? So I am not in favor of many of the practices, maybe almost all of them, the current administration. But my training and practice is that we have to meet it with peace and not with anger, you know. So that's really the big thing, and how difficult it is to do that. You know, very difficult. And of course, you know, I'm in somewhat of a privileged position for now. So, but just like it during the Vietnam War, try not to, you know, we're trying to get people to talk to each other rather than fight with each other. And I think that's really difficult. But if anyone should be doing it, Dharma people should be the ones that are interested in dialogue. This is a refrain that, you know, the Dalai Lama keeps saying, you know, it's like, you know, things will be resolved through meaningful dialogue. And it's really difficult to do, but I think it's possible. I do believe in nonviolent, peaceful demonstrations if they work. So one time, well, in Boulder, like when Allen Ginsberg was there, he used to come and obviously do poetry and do Allen, but he'd also go out to, there was an arsenal that made like triggers for bombs and stuff, and they had railroad tracks. So people would go out with Allen and sit on the railroad tracks, you know. It's really uncomfortable. Yeah. Uh, so uh, I never got arrested. I got arrested in India, in a totally separate situation, but uh, I'm just thinking back to the times of the civil rights movement. Um, when I was old enough to know what was going on, um, wow, that incredible courage, right? So uh, that big picture goes back to what we do here as a Sangha, that, well, we just have to talk things out like that. And when talk things out, however, doesn't always mean like just talking like this. It could be, well, let's just sit together. My old Zen teacher, Suzuki Roshi, sit together and hold hands. Tell me, felt, like some kind of thing like that. It was brutal. Of course, I was one of those. Um, and yeah, having lived at monasteries, both Zen and Vajrayana and Dharma centers, yeah, you just like if you have a practice obligation or some kind of title, you just have to do it, and um, you just have to show up. So that's another very like kind of Asian thing in a way. I don't know if it's Asian, but that was for the roles. Like, even if you don't like somebody, you have to just show up. And that's really painful because we like to boycott people. You know what I'm saying? So I've tried to bring some of those peace movement things forward. Um, we don't have a chapter of the Buddhist Peace Fellowship here. Um, uh, One of my Zen teachers, main Zen teachers, along with Suzuki Roshi, Aitken Roshi, he and Nelson Foster basically started the Buddhist Peace Fellowship in Hawaii. Um, I was on the board for a while with a bunch of Berkeley people, particularly with Joanna Macy. Does anybody know who Joanna Macy was? Incredible. Brought Joanna to Fresno um, a couple of times to do workshops. Her workshop was entailed despair and empowerment in the nuclear age. So it could be despair and empowerment in the, you fill in the, like that. She passed away recently. She was really incredible. I think as a BPFer, we did a lot of interesting things. Mainly tried to, I think, mainly tried to get Buddhists to be nice to each other. Yeah, like that. Aiken Roshi was very influenced by the Quakers, and uh, for a while, I know he was a tax resistor. He may have done some jail time, not for that, but for other peace things. Um, so the current situation, a little bit is contextualized to my background and what I've learned in monasteries. So it isn't just talking, like we have silent meditation, so you can sit next to people that you're having a struggle with. We have kirtan, so you can sing next to people that you're struggling with. We have yoga and Tai Chi, so you can do that with people you're struggling with. Next year, I hope to start, with Jessica, a contemplative dance program. I've been talking this up, so yeah. Yeah, we had a Zoom meeting with Barbara Dilly. Barbara Dilly was a dancer with Merce Cunningham Company, incredible. And she asked her to of the program at Naropa, contemplative dance, which he did for a number of years, and then became president of Naropa for close to 10 years. We had a good laugh about administration. I don't think you got that in your notes. Yeah, the Naropa sadhana, yeah, so like that. But I think movement and somatic things are enormously important. If you can, dance with someone, then that's huge. I do like strange dances, like kind of, kind of out there maybe, but like some people might, I'm nonviolent, but I enjoyed Pulp Fiction. And it's like, so what was, like Uma and John Travolta doing there, I saw an interview with, the director, Quentin Tarantino, and he was very specific how he wanted Uma to be kind of like these dancing cats or something, and kind of, and he wanted John to be very stiff, I mean, there's something about watching, like, it's interesting, you think, well, they're just dancing and they're doing their thing, but it's still a great movie, even though I don't share, like the violent part, but the dance is interesting to think. So, and then also starting next Friday, Bella Dreiser, who's a local yoga teacher and physical therapist, is going to be doing kind of loosen up your body kind of thing, and yoga with PT, and I'll have to take the class so that I can report. But I see all these as ways to clarify and help resolve conflict. I don't see them just as like, interesting things to do. That's why we're doing the programs here, because we have this inner conflict called samsara. So I do not want to, thing I'm really against is demonizing one particular class of people, either on the right or the left. So, like cops are all bad or something, or, or just one group of people can't be like that. And it's really easy to go there and polarized, and when we find ourselves saying stuff like that, then, I find it really dangerous. Personally, I grew up in kind of a weirdly liberal family, and who are kind of privileged and kind of racist in a beautiful 50s kind of liberal New York kind of way, but not entirely woke, but really impressed on me that how strong, particularly in New York, like still the presence of the Holocaust was a big deal, because we're just coming off of that, and how important it was not to create separate groups. And that was a big thing in New York. That was something my parents were into, like, let's have a party and invite everybody, right? And that was kind of unique. So I'm big on parties. Yeah, looking back, I said, God, you had all these people over to the house, and it was lubricated by liquor, okay? Nothing's perfect. It had, God, there were, so we had a Catholic, we were like white Protestants, so like it would be outrageous to have like Catholics and Mormons and our Jewish friends over in the same thing. It just didn't happen. We have to you have to go back into the 50s, and this was before anything, and everybody was kept really like, there was, the Scarsdale Golf Club. If you were Jewish, you couldn't go in it. So, and then there was the beach club, like, you'd drive to Long Island Sound, and we went to Manursa Island, which was all kind of white and Protestant, and just on the other side was the Jewish club, and which I always wanted to go to because they had a slide into the pool, but I couldn't go. We don't, so they had their limits. No, we're not going to take you there. We can't join Greenwood. So I'm very sensitive to, like, groups of people saying we can't work with those people like that. So, and that goes with Sangha members too, we sometimes go, we can't. So all the practices really are designed to get us to interact and to get kind of opposite points of view to work together. So as people know, my strategy is, doesn't always work, okay? Nothing works forever, but if you complain about somebody, you might end up doing a project with them. Or if you complain about a program, I might ask you to work on it, something. So along that line of trying to get polarities to work together, I'm very interested in having both a sacred program, that would identify as traditional and religious, along with a secular program that's, kind of secular-based, scientific-based, humanistic-based, psychologically based, and, run those two tracks at the same time. I think it's kind of successful. I don't know. I haven't done a poll. Maybe we should do that. But one of the things we're going to do today, as spur of the moment, is a few people expressed an interest in doing a ceremony we're calling Entering the Path. Okay, this is something I've made up. So it is just like, the Tara Madonna in the back, it's like you will not find that in, traditional Buddhism. Like, you're either taking refuge or you don't, So the point of Ending the Path is you get to, like, take the car home and drive it for 6 months, and then you can return it. So and Entering the Path, it isn't like a watered down. I'm not saying, well, we're just taking kind of the message and kind of making it more slick. It's honestly, you can do it, and then kind of go, well, that was great, but I'm not interested anymore, and there's no fault. It's exactly how I think first marriages should be, personally. It's called engagement, but it's never, So there are a few people that are interested in that, and I'm going to read out what's in the brochure. But before we do that, part of service here, which is, again, very secular and not sacred, is to have a discussion, because and some questions if people are interested or want to add to or contradict or complain about what I said. We'll take a few minutes. If it's boring, we'll stop. But if it's interesting, we'll keep going, and then we can do the Entering the Path ceremony. Do you want to tell people how to use the microphone?
Well, it seems to be working pretty good today, but part of the reason why is you got to have it pretty close to your mouth. So it actually just takes sound basically from the top. So if you're speaking at it at the side, it doesn't work. So you got to, like, angle it straight in, and then just maybe like an inch or two from your mouth kind of thing. So
Should
yeah,
we ever get like an omnidirectional mic, do you think?
I think we are working on that. The one we
'Cause
got,
I'll never do it.
yeah,
Yeah, you're working on it?
yes, we are. Well, the one we got could only broadcast to Zoom. So there's, yeah, it's technology's weird like
Yeah.
that. So we're finding the one that could do both, Zoom
Okay,
and in-house.
cool.
Yes.
Right. Nice.
But
Okay.
any questions?
Comments or
Comments?
complaints? Discussion.
Thank you, Lama. Sometimes there's a sense of, like you're part of a group or you identify as a part of a group of people who all sort of share similar beliefs, attitudes, ways of looking at the world. And then at some point, sort of a new rock enters into the tumbler, so to speak, right? And it's different than all the rest, and it feels it's now part of your community, but like the person or people maybe they seem like other, right?
Yeah.
So in those cases when it feels like there's some new sort of in-group out-group dynamic going on there, right? How do we build a bridge and create sort of a more inclusive community that can not just tolerate but welcome different perspectives and attitudes and beliefs? I don't know if I'm getting the question out quite right, but there is just this sort of sense sometimes of like a lot of solidarity and everything's kind of smooth within the group. And then there's some friction when there's some newness, like new members. And I'm not necessarily talking about just the Sangha. I'm just in general, there's like a pattern of these kind of in-group, out-group dynamics.
Well, there's always in-group, there's always like group dynamics. But what we're hoping in a Sangha is it has some awareness and kindness to it, right? But it's generally our, it's our job to step out of our comfort zone and welcome people. Otherwise, it's Dharma Club, which is, I complain about it. You can't totally fight it. It's like plaque on your teeth or something. You have to keep working on it, So, but, we just want to be with people that we feel comfortable with, So that's where, people can, say to other people in the, let's go on vacation together. Let's go have lunch together or something. Or, of course, you want to do that. You want to be with people you like. But while we're here, we should be reaching out a little bit if we can. If we get too complicated, then the answers don't work. They have to be kind of, very simple and concrete and kind of physical like that.
Thank you.
So this is a little bit premature, but on this subject, on November 8th, Tenzin Choki will be here doing a workshop on this very topic. So,
Yay.
yeah, so it's very, very timely.
Greg's hand was up over here too. Greg, but yeah.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I'm wondering whether we could come up with maybe a sit-down get-together for having meaningful conversations with people who aren't in the club, right? So like inviting maybe politicians or other groups or things to all come together and just orchestrate meaningful conversation, because I don't see how we're not going over there, they're not coming over here. Like, it's got to be like a bit of a effort to put it together.
I thought about doing stuff like that, so I got to re-up with my doc, Justin, and get some Xanax first, before I do that. Yeah, I think it's so important to do that, and it would take planning and to get people together, even take some rules, of course, more than holding hands. But I think if we're not doing it, who's going to do it, right? So you go, Michelle. So
You go.
You go. Yeah.
You go.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's
Uh,
do something. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In thinking about having to work with people we don't like, I wondered if you had an opinion about sessions of other members of the group without that unliked person. Should they like not discuss like I have feelings about this person, or can that be part of like the program and be like, okay, we can vent for a little bit, but we got to reel it in after a while?
um, yeah, I've had suggestions like, kind of, this is kind of this free-for-all kind of group. We've done things in the past called speaking from the heart, kind of passing the talking stick, and those still need to be curated like that. I've done stuff like that, and I know Susan Farrar and probably Ellen too remember, like, we did a number of workshops on nonviolent communication, um, which were totally great. Those are worthwhile doing it again. If we set up a conference or got people to talk to each other, of course, there have to be some rules. It's like doing couple therapy. There still needs to be some rules, right? I'm thinking, what is the rule? Well, the rule is it's over in 50 minutes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, these are good questions.
Good morning, Lama. A lot of people have been coming to me asking for help about what do you do when people just don't want you to exist? And how do you sit, like, it's been hard.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wonder, how do we help people who are talking to you who actually fundamentally don't think you should exist?
It's the hardest thing to do. Yeah, I mean, because it's past like disagreement. It's just it's like complete cancellation, or we want you dead, and stuff like that. And I guess I started the talk off with I have to kind of draw in a lot of support to do that. I could not do that just kind of sitting here, me. I have to draw in people that I've actually worked with, or try to channel people, and try to channel Thich Nhat Hanh, for example. I was on the board of the Buddhist Peace Fellowship when we sponsored Thai's first visit to the United States, and I've told people a story where we were over at Green Gulch, and he just sat right next to me on the couch, and said hi, and held my hand, and the funny part is that after a while I felt like taking my hand back, it was just so, I was like, okay, that was fine, but no, and just, completely like that, just totally. So I have to think of people that, really, have worked with folks in the most difficult situations, and because I just can't do it alone like that. But I think when somebody really wants you gone, the regular strategies don't work. And I do have to, that's where like a lot of these practices actually come to benefit, because we're pulling from a wider bandwidth. But when people want me dead, usually it's our tendency is to narrow the field of vision, right? You just do that, and so we I've on a practical level, I actually have fired people before, and just had to say to people, I just can't work with you. And they go, why not? And I said, I can't remain open to what you're working with. But what's really weird is then it's like, maybe it's a narcissistic response. You tell me about it. And they go, well, what do you mean? I can't work with, and I say, well, you're basically telling me like I'm a useless therapist or Lama too, and so they're surprised. They're surprised when I meet the rejection with a boundary, and I have to. I'm usually like just flaming codependent. And I'm going, yeah, I can work with anybody, and well, no, I can't. I really don't want to run into the guy was trying to kill me. I'm not really interested in that. And, but under the right circumstances, I probably could. But I have to be ready to fire people and just say, I can't, like that. It's a long discussion. Yeah. Yeah. Like when people are really scary. Ironically, like I've been less scared working in 10 years in Folsom Prison than just sitting alone in my therapy office or Lama office. Because like one time when I was working on an agency, the consumer was through Alta Regional. Probably didn't do a good therapeutic intervention. Like this person had, was on the spectrum and decided he wanted to kill himself. And so what he did is he drove his car and over the Carquinez Bridge and stopped in the middle of the bridge and turned the lights off. And I broke the therapeutic thing. I said, that's the most selfish effing thing I've ever heard. And then he threw the phone at me, those old phones. And I yelled, help. And nothing happened. Anyway, we calmed down and somehow we got out of there. And then I asked the staff that was out not very far from the office. I said, did you hear me? Because the buzzer didn't work, Natch. And they said, oh, I thought that was part of the therapy. This guy was big. Yeah, so I'm just sharing that. Like, I don't always, I can't always calm down and, like stuff like that. Very difficult right now. Yeah, very difficult. Okay, so we move on. We're getting like, what do you do on the TV show when you have to move on? What's the gesture? Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm impressed by people that have actually really worked and continue to work in the most difficult situations. But I'm not. We have to live for another day, right? So I like to say, Buddha Dharma is not a sacrifice religion. We're not asked to sacrifice ourselves. It's important. So how many people do we have I have 4 people. How do we do this ceremony? I can't remember anymore. I can remember. I just say that so I don't have to be in charge all the time.
You don't have to be in charge.
Okay, thank you.
So welcome. We're doing a flash entering the path ceremony. Learned about this about less than 24 hours ago. So, but we do have some really wonderful folks that are going to be joining us. I have some short descriptions like I typically do. So this first person has been curious about spirituality and Eastern thought. She had long been interested in Buddhism. She left her life as a winemaker in Michigan. And I might be exaggerating just a little bit here, but she was picked up by a tornado and brought back to California. She made some changes in her life, changes that have brought her closer to her love and servitude of animals. And to us here at Lion's Roar, where Nicole will continue to learn about Buddhism. Come on up, Nicole.
Hey. Oh, you're very full prostration. By the way, it's not necessary to prostrate for this ceremony, but thank you. Keep going. Yeah, doing good. You're sending. Yeah, you're doing it just right. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's sweet. Thank you. I'm going to give it back to you like that. Just there.
All right, thank you, Nicole.
Yay! We can clap. This is that. Clap.
All right, this next person actually is a Buddhist. So the purpose of doing the entering the path is really just for her to be introduced to the Sangha so that we all know her. We'll invite her to our table, we'll chit chat. And she actually has quite a bit of history in Buddhism. She had been studying the Kagyu lineage under the teachings of you guys know how I am with pronunciations. Sharmapa?
Yeah.
Okay, Sharmapa in Santa Barbara. She came to Northern California to be near her children after the death of their father. Michelle feels it's time to be active in a physical Sangha, and she is interested in learning the Dharma teachings further that will help clarify obscurations.
I'm glad you're here. I thought you were going on retreats. That's great. Super. I think it's really important here that the real Dharma of Tibet, I like to put it that way, like wants to have all the different lineages practicing together. That's really important. It's a thing that riles me when people say, well, I'm this, but I can't come sit with you or something. I mean, really. So we need to learn from each other. I'm glad you're here. Super.
Thank you, Michelle. this next person had sent me her description in text today, and I don't want to change anything that she said. So I'm going to read it from her words. And this is, she said, I have 2 children, and the pressures of life often make me anxious and restless. I hope to gain wisdom and strength through studying Buddhism, gaining greater peace of mind, and bringing compassion and wisdom to my family. Welcome, Aitken.
Welcome. Wonderful. Blessings, blessings. Yeah, super. Yay.
Thank you, Aitken. Okay, the last person entering the path today is an adorable pixie, often accompanied by her mom. She doesn't know this, but like her, I was also the big sister to an annoying little brother. Years ago, her questions sent her mom on a quest that brought her here. Today, Kaya is embarking on her own quest to understand Buddhism better. Come on up, Kaya.
Super. Very good. Congrats. Thank you so much, Kaya.
Thank you, Kaya. So we welcome everybody here to the Sangha. Sangha, please welcome these new folks. Spend time with them, get to know them. And also on Monday nights, Zach, where are you? Zach and I facilitate a program also called Entering the Path, where we talk about Buddhist concepts, we read various Buddhist texts, and then we meditate. And then at 7 o'clock every other week, Lama joins us. So I encourage you to try to be here Monday nights at 6 o'clock to join us for that if you can. All right, thank you and welcome.
In the brochure, there's some basic Dharma tenets. These aren't meant for you to absolutely believe from a catechism point of view, but to challenge you to see if they're true for you. When I was at Naropa, one of the professors, Chuck Prebish, wrote a book on the history of Buddhism in America, but of course that was 1975. But I liked his answer. You know, somebody asked, well, what's a Buddhist? So there was a discussion, and then Chuck said, you're a Buddhist if you say you are. Because you're just going to make it yourself, you know, you put it out there, and you know, people are going to take what they need, and they're going to do with it. You know, there's no Dharma police, you know, so all the teachers go, well, this is, you know, just use it as best you can. But everybody is going to have their own version, and you must. you have to have, there's the outer teachings and then there's inner teachings, but there's your own kind of particular way you do it. And that's why we have to have Barbara Daly's and Jessica's and mine contemplative dance, because part of that is you get to have this open space and you just get to see how you do it, right? Yeah. It's so freeing. I remember watching at Naropa, like back in the Stone Age, and growing up as I grew up, like, wait a minute, you get to move wherever you want to go? Well, Barbara going, yeah, you just, she had a little red square, there was structure to it in the space, but you literally had to make your own expression, right? That's so neat. So I think we can close, don't you? What do you think? No? Did we miss anything? No? Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, I would like to say a few things. So I'm really happy. Just a shout out, if that's okay, Jerry. Thank you for, putting up the gates. So, I've jumped the gun, but I'll announce it at the Monday night meeting. Just Jerry, be here all week and we'll cover you, okay? The gates are going to look great, kind of a little Japanese style. So I'll have these mixed styles, which I really like. So the gates and the garden area we're making secure for two reasons. One, so we feel safe in the cottage after the break-in, and Sabrina decides to go out in the on the lawn by herself. And two, so we can have also, time to have kids run around and have our own containment, so we can be outside and have fun. Since putting up the cameras, the Ring cameras, the amount of traffic that would move from the alley to the street is incredible. And now we're going to, close that off a little bit. And I think that'll be a nice environment. And I realize that we're making people come in the garden door. I mean, they come in the parking lot door or in the front door. So we're redirecting the flow. But there's very good reasons for it, and I think it'll be safer, and it'll also it'll look good too, actually. So I'm delighted with all the work that people put in, Ellen and Deb and Anthony and Jerry and Matthew, just coming, that just be coming together. Great. So it's been stressful. Yeah. So fortunately, I have a lot of good support, and we're a creative Sangha, and I'm also open to creative ideas about maybe in the future getting another cat. So we'll see. Because then it sounds like Queen for the Day a little bit, but then last week our cat ran away. Yay, Jewel. So yeah. But I appreciate how the energy and the support here makes all the difference. All right, let's do closure. Let's do dedication.
Dedication. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may quickly attain the state of a good Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that mind state. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow. And may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish. May the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators. Please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokitesh Vardhan, great treasure of objectless compassion. Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Mars. Sangkapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages. Losandrakpa, I make request at your holy.
Thank you. Oh, one last thing is after several x-rays and visits, Kaiser does still not know what that strange little thing in my throat is, but it's repairing, but it's not broken. But the doc there was very nice, the podiatrist. I said, I just can't go home saying it's another unidentified thing in my throat. So he goes, well, maybe it's a calcified blood vessel, but it was not convincing. So I'm staying with some kind of alien implant, like that, and I'll have to get some expert, other person to look at it. All right, music, please.
Omo